verbally and physically abusive. Debbie claims as a result of the defendant's addiction, he lost custody of his children. And she's suing him today for a loan, stolen money, and emotional distress. Defendant James Ballas says he supported Debbie throughout their relationship, but he and his children were forced to move out of the house they shared after Debbie brought 12 cats into the home. James insists Debbie is only suing because she's homeless, and he's countersuing for harassment.
Start with you.
Well, me and Mr. Ballas, we started dating in 2005, and in January of 2006, he was in a car accident, and he was put on painkillers. After he was put on painkillers, I went through verbal abuse, I went through physical abuse. He's a beater, he's a cheater.
Did you go to the police on him any?
Yes, I did.
And did
they told him to leave, and he refused to move out.
But did they arrest him? No,
they didn't arrest him. They gave him 24 hours to leave,
okay.
And he wouldn't.
They didn't believe.
That is a liar.
But you said he did it regularly to you?
Yes, he did. He timed me when I went to the grocery store.
Right, and I guess I'm saying, did you call the police regularly?
Yes, I did.
And each time they didn't charge him?
They didn't charge him. They just told him to move out.
Did you ask why they weren't charging him?
They gave him 24 hours to move out.
And you called them regularly,
yes.
And they just said leave, and he would never leave, and so they would just, okay, got it. All right. And what else do you want to tell me about your relationship beginning in 06?
Well, his verbal abuse and everything.
I got that part, verbal and physical abuse.
Yes.
We're past that. What else?
He's so addicted to painkillers that when his kids would go to school, he wouldn't even get up for them in the morning. He was sleeping all day long. He does not have custody of his children anymore.
Okay.
They were taken away from him.
When did he lose them?
He lost them, I believe it was last year.
When did you break up?
It was 2012.
Okay.
I only stuck it out for his kids.
Okay, and what type of things were happening?
Let's see, I was timed when I went to the grocery store. He took a wrench to my car, and he actually beat the engine hood with it. And he said, well, it was either hit your car or hit you.
You give me some background, then we'll get to the loan. All I've heard so far is you were addicted to pain pills, and it provoked a violent episodes by you against her.
That was all a lie. As far as I'm concerned, if I was a beater and hitting her regularly, I would have never won full custody of my children. She is homeless and has no job or no money.
Right now?
Yes. And she's looking for a free handout. I took care of her the whole time that we were together. I had 2 settlements. I have the proof sitting right here in front of me for $23,000 and $55,000. I paid for all the bills, all the rent. She never worked. She didn't clean. There was 12 cats living in this house, and it was unhealthy conditions for me and my children. So I moved me and my kids out. I told the landlord in advance, a month prior to me moving. All the bills were current when I moved.
When was this? When did you move?
I moved in February or December of 2011 or 12.
Okay, so you all went from 2006 to 2011, perhaps 12, as she says. All right, and you say it's because she is now homeless that she is charging you with these things and wants money?
Exactly.
I had settlements myself, and when he got custody of his kids, I was the one that was actually buying their school clothes.
We're done with that, man. We're done with that. How does he owe you for rent?
He owes me for it because he took, and September, October, November, and December, I was giving him the rent money. He was leaving the driveway, hanging right, and I did not have 12 cats in the house. They were actually outside cats.
There was outside cats, too.
Quiet, sir.
I was giving him the rent money, and he was actually driving out the driveway and hanging the right like he was supposed to go pay the rent, when in fact he was actually taking that rent and he was pocketing it. He never got no $55,000 when he was with me. He got $27,000, which he spent on an '86 Monte Carlo.
Were you all evicted as a result?
Yeah, we were. A guy came to the back door. I answered the door. He wouldn't answer the door. Guy handed me the papers. I said, what is this for? And he said, non-payment of rent. I said, the rent's been paid. No, and then he was like, no, it hasn't. I had given it to him because my card had been
but you were evicted?
I was evicted because...
The two of you?
Yes. Oh.
Okay, and when was that you were evicted for non-payment of rent?
That was in December of January 2012.
Okay.
I couldn't go anywhere.
You have any evidence that you were evicted because of non-payment of rent in January of 2012?
I don't have the papers with me.
Okay.
I was burglarized.
All right.
I
Sir,
couldn't.
your counterclaim for harassment for $5,000. How does she owe you?
Because of all the money I paid for rent and all the bills.
You're saying she,
Well, she would
harassed
call me-
you into paying the bills?
She called me. No.
What?
She called me throughout all this time, and I would never answer the phone.
She called you from what time?
Between the time that I had moved out until present.
Don't go away. There's more Judge Mathis after this.
Coming up, I did not know about the drug use. Afterwards, when I found out, it kind of made more sense to me because my parents were nicer when they were on drugs. And I know that's weird to say, but because that my dad left when I was 10, and because I looked the most like him, I feel like that's her outlet for her anger, was me. And it's like, I didn't deserve that.
And later,
I was hit by the pure smell of marijuana the second he stepped out of his car. He tried to tell me, "Ma'am, put your phone down. The cops don't need to get involved by any reason. I'm a cop. We don't need the police involved. Oh, I'll take care of this."
plaintiff Debbie Dole dated the defendant, and she claims after he became addicted to pain pills, he was physically and verbally abusive.
All right, ma'am, you've been calling him since 11
No.
up through now?
I didn't even give him the right phone number. I didn't even know his phone number.
You said give him the right phone number.
When I filled
I'm
out-
sorry,
when I
ma'am.
went- when-
Let me just stop you. Let me just stop you. You have not convinced me, and you have no evidence that you are put out because you were giving him the rent money and he didn't pay the rent, and so you got evicted. By your own admission, he had $27,000 during the course of those 5 years, and maybe he blew it, I'm not sure, but you haven't convinced me. In fact, I'm more convinced of what he said. Where you live now, do you have a place that you're living?
Yeah, I have a place, and I did get two
All right.
settlements.
Well,
and
the point is, your claim is dismissed. So is yours. You say she harassed you into paying the rent, or she kept calling you up until today. Well, she kept calling you, and now she has you. And so the good news is the claim is dismissed, and yours is as well. Have a good day.
Thank you. I am very happy with what happened today. I'm glad it's dropped and over with. I don't have to deal with this anymore.
Plaintiff Stephanie North says the defendant is her daughter, and for the first 10 years of her life, Stephanie was a crack addict. Stephanie claims as a result, the defendant started acting out and fighting, and now she threatens Stephanie and calls her derogatory names, so she's suing. Defendant Bianca North admits that she acted out when she was younger, but says her mom took out a lot of her anger on Bianca for no reason at all. Although Bianca admits that she and her mother still do not always see eye to eye, she insists she has never threatened her and therefore does not owe.
Start with you.
This is a very sad day for me. Bianca is my only daughter. I love her very much, but it seems like since Bianca was 10 years old, Bianca has been giving me a lot of problems.
Like what?
Disrespect.
Give me some examples.
I've been called miserable, lonely, obese, crack whores, jealous OB, nothing. I'm nothing. I'll never be nothing.
Since she was 10?
No, not since she was 10. The 10
say
was
she's
with
been
yes, this progressed.
And what type of things was she doing at 10?
Oh, this was the fighting at school, the disrespecting her teachers, not doing her work.
Okay. Did you ever take her to counsel?
Yes, sir, I have.
Okay. How did that go?
Apparently not too well.
Okay. All right. And how often did you take her and for how long?
It was like several different times through the schools because I don't have money for counseling, but through the schools, you know, as far as we would both take it, you know, I'm not saying that Bianca always gave up. Sometimes I gave up. You know, sometimes you just get tired.
Right.
I'd like to have a little bit of background about myself if I can. I was a crack addict for 20 years of my life.
How old was she during those years?
Well, she wasn't around when I started. She came...
She hadn't been born?
Right. She came in the midst of it.
And how long were you on crack during her
Till she was 10 years old.
For the first 10 years you were on
Yes.
crack?
Yes.
And then since how old is she now?
She's 21 now.
All right, so you haven't been on crack for 11 years.
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you think those first 10 years affected her?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Most definitely. They
So
affected
you-
all my children. Yes,
All
sir.
right. You don't think you could attribute some of her
Oh,
behavior
yes,
to
sir.
that?
Yes, sir. I mean, I.
So you're not confused?
No, sir.
As to why she's doing all
No,
this?
sir.
Okay.
No,
All
sir.
right. Because
No,
you
not at all.
sounded like you thought there
No.
was just something that came over her.
No.
To make her do all these things.
No.
Okay, yeah. So at least we know why, for the most part. Let me allow you to give some background.
First of all, Your Honor, I love my mother very much. That is supposed to be my best friend, you know, and I feel like for the most part, my mom does not respect me. Coming up, I did not know about the drug use. Afterwards, when I found out, it kind of made more sense to me because my parents were nicer when they were on drugs. And I know that's weird to say, but the actions and stuff that she has now towards me is kind of like, because that my dad left when I was 10 and because I look the most like him, I feel like that's her outlet for her anger, was me. And it's like, I didn't deserve that. Coming up in school, I did have disciplinary actions and issues.
Starting
but,
at what age?
At 10. But that was normal because kids fight. Kids have disagreements.
How often?
And, I probably had a lot more than I was supposed to. But that's because
Well,
people used to...
you're saying it's not normal then?
No. Like, I used to get teased a lot from my parents.
Okay, but the issue was whether the frequency in which you do it is normal, and you thought it was.
Yeah,
Until I told you that what you're telling me now
Yeah.
is not normal.
Yeah.
All right, so you got in trouble more than normal.
Mm-hmm.
You think it's because of the coming down on you by your mother. And it coincidentally happened when the family broke up. And I guess my analysis has been that when families break up, that frequently happens. One of the children, if not a couple of them, rebel. And same when a child is born into a household that is drug addicted for their first 10 years. That creates dysfunction in the child. So one way or the other, it was the breakup of the family or the dysfunction created by the crack addiction that you were acting out. I just want you to have an understanding of it because a lot of folks don't understand what they went through and why it occurred.
Stay tuned. The case continues after this.
You remembered everything else except for helping with a homework, which is what a parent would do, and the parent then would notice that they haven't been to school for 11 days. Come on now.
Okay,
I know you've been in the street, but the judge has too.
Right.
I know game when I hear it, and I'd cut through that.
Okay.
I'd cut right through that.
Stay tuned. You don't want to miss today's Judge Mathis Throwback.
Work very hard.
You're jealous because she got married and her husband got money.
Next, Judge Mathis.
Stephanie North is suing her daughter because she claims her daughter threatens her and calls her derogatory names.
And why are you suing her today? What happened this time?
This time?
That
This
caused
last
you to
time?
sue her for $2,500.
I mean, this goes back for years. I'm going back.
Go ahead.
We can start with the 11 days that Bianca skipped school, and I didn't know anything about it. My job had
How long
changed.
ago was that?
This was when she was in the 7th grade, 8th grade. I didn't know about it until the police,
Did the teachers call you? Mm-hmm. What day did they call you? On the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th? or
After the
10th?
11th.
Okay, so after your child missed 11 days of school, that's when they called?
Yes.
All right. And then you found out what?
That she
Did you find out where she had gone?
She told me she stayed at home those 11 days.
Okay.
And just hung out at home. I don't know. I was at work.
Okay.
So I don't know what Bianca did. I can only go by what she told me.
Okay.
There's the incidences where Bianca, and I have a picture of one of the stray animals that Bianca has brought to my home.
Okay. So far, we have that she skipped school, and the teachers never told you until the 11th day that she was missing.
Right.
Those 11 days, when it came time for homework, what did you assume then, when she had no homework for 11 straight days?
I didn't know she didn't have any homework for 11 straight.
Did you ask?
I probably did. This was 8 years ago. I probably did.
Well, you're the one mentioning it. If it's 8 years, you remembered everything else except for helping with a homework, which is what a parent would do, and the parent then would notice that they haven't been to school for 11 days. Come on now.
Okay,
I know you've been in the street, but the judge has too.
Right.
I know game when I hear it, and I can cut through that.
Okay.
I cut right through that. Now, what is this? We 8 years so far. What year is this?
This was last year.
All right, what did she do?
She brought that dog to my home and wanted to keep it there without any way of feeding the dog or taking care of the dog.
Did you notice that the dog was there?
Oh, yeah, I noticed that the dog was there.
Okay, I don't know. You noticed the dog, but you don't notice your daughter. I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
I mean, sir.
All right, you noticed the dog was there. Didn't notice she was there. All right, so you asked her to remove the dog? Mm-hmm. And what
Several
did she
times.
say?
I always get arguments and cussed out, and the dog
Did you ever threaten to call the dog pound or something?
Yes, I did.
And why did you?
No, I didn't.
Why?
Because when I threatened to call the dog pound, it was all kind of threats to do physical violence to my car or to my home.
Did you call the police then?
Not then, no. But
when did you call the police on her?
I have called the police on Bianca.
No, when?
Yes. One time when I asked her to leave my home and she told me she wasn't going anywhere.
One time was when? What year? What month? You can't remember?
Last year. I can't remember the month, no, because I never thought I would be here doing this. Summertime.
All right, the summer of last year.
Yes.
Can you tell me what happened? Give me a little more detail.
I asked Bianca probably to wash a dish or to pick up behind herself because I wasn't doing it anymore. And it results in, okay, when I'm ready to do it, I'll do it. And then 2 or 3 hours later, it's, Bianca, are you going to do what I asked you to do? And it's, yeah, when I get ready. And then finally, I'm tired of asking her. And so I tell her, you got to go. And then it's all this, so I'm not going anywhere. If you want me to leave, you better call the police and all this other kind of stuff. And where I come from, I don't like calling the police on my child.
Okay.
I don't like doing it.
All right. Now let me hear, ma'am, from you about all this your mother is suing you for.
First of all, Your Honor, with the whole threatening her situation, I have never threatened to put my hands on my mother.
Yes, you have. Go ahead. What else?
I have never threatened to put my hands on my mother.
You skipping school, doing everything, fighting everything else. Yes, you have.
That doesn't mean I threaten my mother, but
that does.
She threatens me, and I do not threaten her. She put her hands on me, and I do not put my hands on her. So that's why our relationship is not as close.
Why are we here? Why do you think your mother brought you here today? Do you live with her still?
No, I do not. I do not stay with her.
How long have you been on your own?
Like a year.
Okay, so you've been gone for 1 year. Has anything happened within that year?
We've had incidents within that year. Like if I go over to her house to visit her or something and we get into an argument or a disagreement, it always ends with her telling me that I don't have anything and I won't be anything. I'm raggedy, I'm a bum, and I leech off of people and I use people. And I'm often told that if I'm not beneficial to her, it's no point of me even being around.
Stay tuned. The verdict next. And coming up on Judge Mathis, plaintiff Stephanie North is suing her daughter because she claims her daughter threatens her and calls her derogatory names.
So she's called you names and she's degraded you. That's your point?
Yes, about that. And with the whole dog incident, I left home with the dog, and I was homeless with that dog and my boyfriend. So the dog was not at her house that long. My brother actually had the dog before we did, and we ended up taking the dog from my brother because he didn't want it because she was deaf. So when we did have the dog at her house, and it was all those problems, and my mom put us out, we stayed on the street with our dog for the time until my dog was stolen.
All right. Do you know of that to be true, ma'am?
No.
Okay. Secondly, have you ever degraded her or talked down to her?
Yes, I have.
Or initiated an argument?
Not initiated, no, sir.
Okay, you've never initiated an argument
I've never initiated, no, sir.
All right.
Anything
when you would tell her to move the dog and she wouldn't, or when she threatened you, you never...
initiated?
Yeah,
no, sir.
The dog in particular.
I've come
the
back
dog
on
in
Bianca.
particular, the dog. You kept telling her to leave. Yeah, did you ever do it in a hostile way? Tell her to take the dog away.
After being called out of my name, yeah, it escalated.
No, that's not initiating. I'm saying you
initiated. No, sir. It's been Bianca. Okay. When is the dog going to leave?
It's and all then her problem. Everything that she's done in life, it's what she's done.
That's not what I'm saying, Judge.
Okay. Well, I do think it's mutual argument between the parent and the daughter, and you don't get money for that. You don't get money for that, arguing with your child.
I understand.
You put them out like you did.
Right.
Oh, and if they threaten you, you call the police. Your claim is dismissed. Have a good day.
What goes on with me and Bianca's relationship is on whether Bianca's going to start respecting me and talking to me and treat me like I'm her mother.
I can honestly say the same thing. I don't know. I would hope for a better relationship with my mother, but if not, then I mean, we're just going to have to love each other from a distance.
Plaintiff Aurora Neeson says she was driving home late on the 4th of July, and out of nowhere, the defendant hit her from behind. Aurora claims when the defendant got out of the car, he reeked of marijuana. And then he told Aurora that she didn't need to call the police because he was a police officer. Aurora's suing for the car damages. Defendant Samuel Zatino says the week of the accident was a bad week because his girlfriend broke up with him after she caught him talking to other women online. Samuel admits that he hit Aurora, but claims it was her fault because she slammed on her brakes.
Start with you.
I was driving home about 2 a.m. on July 4th when I felt a strong force hit me from behind. I then proceeded to step out of my car and realized I was hit so hard that the back of my car was resting on the defendant's hood. When he got out of his car, he starts talking, and I was hit by the pure smell of marijuana the second he stepped out of his car. So I know right then that it was a bad situation. He tried to tell me, ma'am, put your phone down. The cops don't need to get involved by any reason. I'm a cop. We don't need the police involved. Oh, I'll take care of this. And then I tried to calm myself down because of the situation. Then he tried to tell me he was in such a hurry to get home because his girlfriend was beating his daughter. And I was on the phone with 911. Then he started getting in my face, tried to grab me by my shoulders, said, ma'am, seriously, you need to put the phone down. I'm a cop. Police don't need to be involved in this. So I started telling them what happened, where we were.
Telling the police?
Correct.
On the phone?
On the phone. And then he's like, I was just in a hurry to get to a party. He was not keeping his story straight.
He changed his story.
He was changing his story. There was like 3 different stories. And I knew at that point, with the smell of marijuana and the fact that he couldn't keep his story straight.
Okay. Let me hear from him. Sir?
Your Honor, I just want to start off by saying that week was a really bad week for me. I just got, I just broke up with my girlfriend. She did catch me online talking to other females, and, which was my fault. But then on that night, I remember, driving, trying to get to a house that I was familiar with by the number. But I go down the street I'm not really familiar with, and it's really dark. I do see her driving in front of me, but I didn't think she was really that close. I look for a split second to look for a house number in the house that I'm familiar with, where I hit her, where I just look up and I just see red lights and I hit her. She gets out of the car and she looks at me and says, "That's what you get for riding on my butt," with her arms in the air like that, really, really angry. I have
that's
to say,
what you get.
Yeah, she said that's what she said. She said
not
that's
what she gets.
Well, that's what
it's like she wasn't harmed. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what she said. So if she got out, that's the first thing she says. And I did try to say stuff for her not to bring the police in it, since I don't have insurance and the vehicle wasn't mine. But I never put my hands on her. I don't know where she's getting the whole police story from. I mean, do I look like a cop? I mean, yeah. There's, well, I'm not a cop.
How do cops look?
I'm not, well, a cop, just something more, I feel like something more with more, I don't know, something that isn't me. I don't think I'm a cop. That's not what I said.
Oh,
I don't remember. I don't
you
recall
said
saying
you don't
that.
look like one. That presumes that there's a certain look that they have. That's all.
Something more assertive. That's what I was not trying to. I was not trying to be assertive. I didn't never put my hands on her.
So cops are all assertive?
In some ways, yes.
And others aren't?
Maybe not.
Okay, that's a stereotype.
I was not.
And
that's a
don't get
stereotype.
high.
All police aren't assertive unless it is necessary. They don't look assertive. All of them. Everybody getting bad cops confused with the majority of the cops. Just like you're saying, there's some stereotype of how cops look. You say cops look assertive, like, I know some that don't. So let's not stereotype police officers because of what's going on with the bad police in our country, which is a bad thing. But we can't disparage all of them.
More of Judge Mathis when we return. And coming up, today's Judge Mathis Throwback.
Who's
That's your
my
rap
cell
music
phone.
going off?
That's my cell phone.
You got a cell phone with rap music on it. Sophisticated doctor got a cell phone that rings with rap music. So you love rap music too. It's not just your wife.
Yeah, I do.
She got an all-American rags to riches story.
I work very hard.
You're jealous because she got married and her husband got money.
Next, Judge Mathis.
Plaintiff Aurora Neeson says after the defendant crashed into her car, he lied and said he was a police officer.
All right, so how did all this have to do with a bad week with your girlfriend?
Well, the thing is, that week I was partying a lot, you know, and I wasn't getting any sleep at all, barely. I was very sleep deprived before I got behind the wheel that night. So
you knew that?
Yes, I did. I did. But the thing is, I was going somewhere. I didn't think it was.
You knew you were driving illegally?
Yes, I did.
How about the weed? Had you been smoking weed?
No, I was not.
All right. And did you leave the scene of the accident?
I did leave the scene, but she did give me permission to leave the scene.
That is.
Okay.
I told her. I told her, I was like, okay, look, there's no way. I mean, I need to be somewhere. If I can give you my ID and that you take pictures of the vehicles and the license plate.
You gave her your ID?
I gave her my ID. I gave her my ID. And
doesn't sound like he's trying to get away if he gave you his ID.
I was taking pictures of the accident, and I had walked around to take a picture of his license plate, which is the picture I have with me today, and he throws his license out the window at me. I did not give him by any means to leave the scene.
Why do you think he threw his license out?
He'd already had told me that he was already driving on a suspended and that he would be arrested.
I know, but why do you think he would throw it out? That's really doing something to hurt yourself.
That was beyond me, because when I told the cops that, I was full-blown astonished.
All right, well, I don't think he was trying to escape, because he did throw his license out, and that indicates someone who at least wants you to know who he is. And whether he has insurance, whether he was sleep deprived, which might be negligence, the fact is, I'm not going to conclude that he was trying to get away, because you don't give a person a driver's license if you don't want them to know who you are. So your car damages, let me see what those are. Sir, why shouldn't you be responsible for the damages?
Because she slammed on her brakes. She caused the accident. I did not.
Okay. Well, the law requires that you drive to accommodate a sudden stop. And there's a presumption that you are negligent if you hit someone in the back. Say someone runs out in front of that person, and that person has to slam on the brakes. And here you are so close to them, you can't stop. Well, it wasn't their fault, because so there's a million reasons people slam on the brakes. Now, he admitted that he hit you in the back when you stopped suddenly. Judgment for the plaintiff, $2,730. Have a good day. Judgment for the plaintiff. It's that time again. Time for this week's Judge Mathis Throwback.
Dr. Zeb Nash is upset with his wife, who was sweet-talked by the defendant, who claims to be a bodyguard to the rap stars. Dr. Nash says he's uncomfortable with his wife's relationship with the defendant, especially since she allowed him to borrow money that he now refuses to pay back. Defendant Joshua Hayes claims he's been a bodyguard and a bouncer to rappers Lil Bow Wow and DMX. Joshua says he enjoyed taking the doctor's wife out to dinners, and Dr. Nash has no one but himself to blame for not getting his money back.
State your case.
Okay, I first met Joshua Hayes in July of 2000. He came to see me as a patient. Subsequently, in getting to know him, I found out that he was security for different rap groups. And since my wife likes rap music and takes care of a lot of rappers in her business, over time, what's that?
What business is that?
She's an esthetician.
All right.
So it became a natural
She's also
friendship.
a fan of rap music, you say?
Yes,
is that right,
rap
ma'am?
music.
You want to come up and stand
Yes,
there?
sir.
You're a fan of rap music?
Yes, sir. I have a very palate for music, yes.
Pardon me?
Yes, I like a lot of music.
Okay, but big fan of rap music, obviously.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All
yes,
right,
sir.
good. What's your favorite artist?
There's a few. I love DMX.
DMX?
Yes,
You like DMX? All right. Now, how did you all get
well, a few months
involved
later
with your patient Hayes And how does that have to do with rap music? You say he's a security guard for rappers? Is that what you said?
Well, what happened was he came to me as a patient. We got talking, and a few months later, my wife and he met, and they exchanged music and that sort of thing, and developed an ensuing friendship. Sometime late in 2001, he came to my wife, Rebecca, and talked about a problem he had securing some funds that he needed, and so he asked for a loan. And she came to me and asked me if we could loan him some monies.
How much?
$4,000.
Okay.
Early March of that year, he did give us $300. And then again, in the beginning of April, he gave us another $300. In between this time, unbeknownst to me, he and my wife described the need to get a car.
You and your wife bought him a car, too?
Well, my wife actually secured purchasing the car.
Behind your back?
Originally.
Originally?
And then when I found out about it, we all got together and agreed that...
How much on the car, sir?
The original purchase price was a little bit over $22,000.
$22,000? That's a hell of a friendship, isn't it? That's a hell of a friendship they got going.
That's not true, young.
More Judge Mathis Throwback when we return.
You go out and spend tens of thousands of dollars behind your husband's back to get him a brand new car. You've only known him for 6 months at this point.
I didn't buy him a
then
car.
you come here in court today and even disagree with your own husband over there on his side in light of this man. At that point, yeah, it's time for me to ask.
More Judge Mathis Throwback. Dr. Zeb Nash is suing a bodyguard to rap stars who he claims sweet-talked his wife out of money he hasn't repaid.
She got $4,000 and a new car. You got the game down.
No.
Go ahead, huh?
And not honorable about the payments. This
Right,
was not.
I see.
Mainly what Dr. Nash said is true. We signed a promissory note agreement, and I did borrow $4,000 from him. Okay, and
Let me back up. I'm just curious. What made you appeal to his wife for a $4,000 loan?
Well, I didn't appeal to his wife.
Patient. He was the doctor. You were his patient.
I didn't appeal to his wife.
Oh, that's what he said. I'm sorry.
Okay.
What
I did was I asked her, which she asked him.
That's appealing to her.
In so many words, I appealed to him. But anyway, I attempted to give him a check. He told me he would tear it up if I gave it to him.
They were discussing things amongst themselves.
No.
And...
That's not true, y'all.
She even says no.
That's not true.
She even says you don't have it right.
They were having a discussion.
Yeah. And what happened was that I wanted to take the monies. My wife told me not to take the monies. So while he was there, I said I would not take those monies. I said, you deal with Rebecca on the rest of the issues.
What was that?
That's
your
my
rap
cell
music
phone.
going off?
That's my cell phone.
You got a cell phone with rap music on it. Sophisticated doctor got a cell phone that rings with rap music.
I can't believe the cell phone's even on, Your Honor. I'm so sorry.
So you love rap music, too. It's not just your wife.
Yeah, I do.
Actually, Judge...
Who's your favorite?
He doesn't have one.
I like music in general.
You don't have a favorite rap artist.
Right. I like the music. I don't like the artist.
Judge Mathis, may I interject a second, sir?
Yes.
In issue to the car, the monies were not paid from April to June. As of June of 2002, sir, I took the vehicle back and sold it.
We're not at the car yet. So try one more time to tell me why you didn't receive that money that he was trying to pay you for the $4,000 loan the day he came by.
There were issues between the defendant and my wife, and I was caught in the middle. And I was trying to keep peace. My wife would not let me take the monies at that time, and I came out.
It's not true, Your Honor.
So that's why you wouldn't take it, because your wife wouldn't let you.
Yeah.
You want to talk, ma'am? Because she's shaking her head like that's not the story. What's the real deal on the money that day?
He wanted it paid by check form, sir, and it was paid in cash. And he wanted a document, and he wanted it in check form.
That's correct.
And Josh offered him cash, and Zev said, no, I want it in check.
And that's what he said.
That's
well, I
correct.
disagree.
You say something different.
I disagree with their version.
What did you tell him your reason was for not accepting the money?
I actually wanted to accept the money. My wife didn't want me to accept the money.
That's a lie.
And that's what you said. When he tried to give you the money, you said, my wife won't let me accept it.
That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a flat out
Well,
lie.
at any
Well,
rate,
it's certainly not a good. It's not a good response, sir. Particularly when your wife differs. Now let's get to the car loan, sir. Why haven't you paid the car loan off?
Well, it wasn't a car loan. We made an agreement, and
what was the agreement?
Well, I would pay the down payment back, and she would pay the down payment.
No.
She went and bought the whole car, and I didn't know that she was finna buy
That is a
and
lie.
pay the total.
That is a lie, Josh.
You did, Rebecca. Because I was having problems with Zeb.
No, sir.
What were you having problems with him about?
On the first loan.
On the cash?
Right.
Is that it?
Right.
The man didn't suspect you were cheating with his wife or anything?
No.
That never came up?
Judge Mathis, I take strong offense to that.
I'm sorry?
I take strong offense to that. The deal
To
was...
be asking the question?
That's inappropriate. Let me explain to you the car deal. The deal was that he could not get a loan.
No. Let me tell you why I thought it was very appropriate for me to ask the question. Because first of all, ma'am,
yes, sir.
One, you know the man for only 3 months before going to your husband to loan him $4,000. A man you ain't known but 3 months in your life. Then 3 months later, you go out and spend tens of thousands of dollars behind your husband's back. He has told you not to. And you spend tens of thousands of dollars to get him a brand new car. You've only known him for 6 months at this point.
I didn't buy him a
then
car.
you come here in court today and even disagree with your own husband over there on his side in light of this man. At that point, it's time for me to ask.
More Judge Mathis Throwback when we return. And on the next Judge Mathis.
She got an all-American rags to riches story. I work very hard.
You're jealous because she got married and her husband got money.
Next Judge Mathis.
At www.judgemathistv.com. And now, more Judge Mathis Throwback. Dr. Zeb Nash is suing a bodyguard to rap stars who he claims sweet-talked his wife out of money he hasn't repaid.
Let's talk about this, sir. She says not appropriate for you to come into her life and within 6 months you borrow $4,000 and get a new car and not pay the payments on it.
Okay. First of all, not only have I taken Rebecca out, but I've taken also the other nurses out. You know, I'm saying...
Who? You've taken also whom out?
Other nurses at
They get your car and $4,000 too?
No. It's more than that. It's more than that, Your Honor. It's more than that. Zeb and I were friends for a while. Also, you know what I'm saying?
Judge
it wasn't just totally Rebecca
Judge, Your Honor,
that did this.
I did not buy the car. The car was to be purchased. It was in my name only. Josh was to pay the down payment, pay the payments, and in 90 days he was to get his own loan, and Zev knew that. Josh did not get his own loan. I took the car back, Judge Mathis.
Right.
I sold the car back and gave Zev the money.
Who put up the money in order to drive the car off the lot?
I did, sir.
You bought the car?
No.
All right. You don't have a defense to that other than you took it back?
No, sir.
All right. And you have your proof of the monies you lost when he returned the car?
Yes, I do.
The fact is, sir, you have failed to repay the money. Your only defense was that he wouldn't accept it. And you say he refused to accept it permanently.
Right.
Both he and his wife say, no, it was only that day. She says he wouldn't accept it because he wanted it in a check instead of cash. He's still not clear why he wouldn't accept it.
I tried to give him a
other
check,
than
too.
His wife told him not to accept it.
I tried to give him a check, too.
As such, you still owe him that money. That's $3,100 you owe him for the loan. And with regard to the car, it came out to a $5,000 loss for you after she bought it, and then he failed to pay for it and turned it back in. Most I can give you is $5,000. That's your judgment. Good luck.